Hi, I'm Kristin Kons with Eating with Purpose. Today I'm going to show you how to make creamy buckwheat. Buckwheat is not part of the wheat family, it's actually part of the rhubarb family, and it's a seed. So it's wheat-free and gluten-free and a perfectly safe pseudo-grain, they call it, because they call it a grain oftentimes in cooking, but it's actually a seed. So I like to store my buckwheat in a glass mason jar, a wide mouth mason jar, and I get a few different brands depending on what's on sale. Bob's Red Mill is a really great brand, and they call for 3 cups of liquid, and then Pocono is another great brand that calls for 5 cups of liquid. So always check on what amount of liquid is on the package and use that. But today I'm going to kind of go off my creamy berry buckwheat recipe, which you can find on eatingwithpurpose.com. And I use coconut milk for part of the liquid. And I like the canned coconut milk because it only has 3 ingredients: water, or coconut, water, and guar gum. And so it's a lot less processed than the coconut milk that you can find in the refrigerated section in the cartons. So I really like to use that. And this is a great brand, and this also Whole Foods has a great brand that's a little less expensive, so I like to use that too. And let's get the liquid boiling, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about how we do this. So come on over here. So in a medium-sized saucepan, I take a can of coconut milk, and a can of coconut milk is usually about a cup and a half to a cup and 3/4, and we're not baking, so exact measurements definitely don't matter in this. So I put a can of coconut milk in there, and then the amount of water that you would need depending on what brand you're using. And I put it on high heat to get it boiling quickly and put the lid on. And then we're going to come back over here and we'll show you the rest. So kombu, I've told you guys about, ounce for ounce, the most nutritious food in the world. It's a sea vegetable, it's not fishy, and you know, most of us are not deficient in vitamins, but deficient in minerals because the crops these days are grown in depleted soil. So the kombu that is in the ocean and gets all of those good minerals is packed with every essential mineral that we need to survive as humans. So it's really awesome, and I like to add it into anything I can just because it's simple and it doesn't have any taste. So I've showed you my Cuisinart nut and spice grinder, which I like to actually grind up the kombu, and you just press it down, and I'll show you how I do that. And I usually put about a half a piece in there. You can do more or less, it doesn't really matter. So I just crumble it up, and then for about 30 seconds grind it down into a powder. Okay, so you just get it into a nice powder. It can be as thick or as fine or coarse as you want, and then we're just going to stick that into the liquid. I like to use the coconut milk because it has a lot of great nutrition and lots of flavor, and it's really sweet. So I just add that in, and we're going to wait for that to boil, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, so our liquid is boiling, so come on over here, and I'm going to show you. I forgot to tell you the liquid amount that I gave you, the 3 to 5 cups, is for a cup of creamy buckwheat. So I usually like to use a cup so I have some left over, and you can pull it out of the refrigerator in the mornings, and you can heat it up or you can eat it cold, and it's delicious depending on how you've made it. So you do a cup of the creamy buckwheat, and I just pour it into there. I usually do about that much, and then I turn it down to low heat. You just want it to simmer and not boil over. Put the pan on. We're gonna we're gonna put the timer on, not the microwave, for 10 minutes, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so the timer just went off, so come on over here and I'll show you what it looks like before we actually stir it. So it looks really, really liquidy. Looks like it might not be done, so we'll just give it a stir. And I might be able to cook it a little longer. And so this is a good practice just to show you, hey, it might need a little more time. So we're going to cook it for, let's try 3 more minutes, and we'll be right back. Okay, so while this is cooking just a few minutes longer, this is a really good example of when things might not turn out exactly like they're supposed to. You just cook it a little longer and it's no big deal. One thing that I did want to mention about buckwheat, creamy buckwheat, is that it's the perfect substitution for oatmeal. So those of you that are missing oatmeal because you're on a low-carb diet or the Doug Kaufman's Phase 1 diet, creamy buckwheat is awesome. You can use creamy buckwheat, as I talked about in my recipe, my creamy berry buckwheat, so sweet with the coconut milk, or you can use vegetable broth or water to make it almost like grits and add in your butter and your salt and pepper. So it's a favorite either way, savory or sweet. So let's come over here and take a look at our creamy buckwheat, and that's much thicker. This is the consistency. Actually, you know, the consistency is just whatever you want it, but this is a good consistency that I like it at. And if you want it a little thicker, you can also cook it just a little longer, and that's not a problem. What else did I want to tell you? Let's see. So savory, oh, it's a complete protein as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. And it also helps to increase the friendly bacteria in your gut, and 85% of our immune system is in our gut. So we want to have that good bacteria to boost up that immune system. There was a study done at the University of Madrid, and they showed that rats that were eating the buckwheat, that it increased the friendly bacteria in their gut within only, I think, a few days' time. So it's a really powerful medicinal food. I love creamy buckwheat. The whole seed buckwheat is a good choice too, and buckwheat flour is great to bake with. So hope you enjoy your buckwheat. Now you know how to cook buckwheat, and now you're eating with purpose.